Alright, so TV boxes, Android boxes, media devices, whatever you want to call them, they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and they all offer different benefits and drawbacks. But most importantly, they all come in at different prices. Some could be bought using the change you found on the side of the road, but you see the drawback to that is the Chinese spy software you've essentially invited into your home, well, it won't do you much good. Meaning that whatever money you may have in your bank account at the moment may not be there tomorrow morning. It's like a game of Russian roulette, really. There's also really expensive stuff out there like the Nvidia Shield TV Pro, a TV box I recently reviewed that costs at least an organ or two. Now for the €200 price tag, you can bet your grandma's life savings that it's a pretty decent little box. It's like the most powerful one on the market. But the question now is, do you need that power? If you're watching Netflix and YouTube, something I kinda doubt since of course you're looking for an Android TV box, then no, you'd be dumber than a literal rock to buy a Shield. And need I remind you, a rock has no brain. Nothing, not a single sign of neural activation, and still it wouldn't buy a Shield for Netflix. On the other hand, for something like Kodi or streaming high fidelity content off your own personal NAS, which is 1000% pirated content, I don't care what you say, or even retro game emulation, the Shield becomes a much more reasonable option. But the truth is, you probably still don't need all that power. The Shield is genuinely stupidly powerful for a TV box, and that's why a very reasonably priced alternative is this. This is the Amazon Firestick TV 4K, but it's not the newest model. It's actually the first gen model from 2019 if I'm not mistaken that I picked up locally for a decent price. I bought this thing at a doubt funny enough because I thought it just wouldn't be as good as some people say it is. I know you have the Shield meat riders out there who, for lack of a better way of saying this, are more loyal to the Nvidia Shield than to their family and friends. In fact, I go as far as saying that the closest thing they have to friends are whoever's on that Nvidia Shield subreddit. Yeah, that's the same kind of thing I saw with Amazon Fire TV products. Some people hated them with a burning passion, but others spoke of it like they were spreading the good news, so I bought it and here's what I now know. Firstly though, let's take a look at it. I always like to stop and appreciate the looks of a piece of tech that I buy, you know? I like to observe the beauty of good product design. But really, I mean, damn, there's not too much to look at, is there? It's a black brick with the soulless Amazon logo on the side and the end of a HDMI cable attached to it. Not too much to appreciate here on the outside. On the other hand though, I do like how the remote looks. This specific one doesn't have the blue Alexa button, instead it's just black. And no unnecessary Netflix or even Amazon Prime buttons on here, it's just nice and simple. I like the glossy control wheel or D-pad, whatever it's called, and the remote itself does feel pretty nice in the hand. It also has the ability to control your soundbar as well as your TV power alongside the Fire TV stick as well. So that's very handy. You don't need to worry about 3 remotes at once. This is an all-in-one solution pretty much flawlessly executed. I do wish though that there was a bit more heft to the remote, you know? It's a bit light for my liking, making it feel a bit cheap in the hand. But that's like the nitpick of all nitpicks, just something small I probably would have liked to see different on this remote. There's nothing else on the Fire Stick itself, no Ethernet port, which is kind of expected, but there are adapters online. However, by default, you'll have to stick to Wi-Fi, which in all honesty, I've had no problems with. Even without Wi-Fi 6 on this first gen Firestick 4K, the Wi-Fi is still genuinely lightning fast. I've had no problems with buffering, even on stupid large high fidelity 4K video. And even while watching any live content. I'd go as far as saying it's actually a better experience over Wi-Fi compared to my 2017 Nvidia Shield TV. And again, this isn't even the newest Wi-Fi 6 Firestick 4K. On the software side of things, you will find Amazon's infamous Fire TV OS running the show. Now, if you've been doing your research on Android TV boxes, you've probably heard many terrible things about this OS. Now, just to explain briefly, Fire TV OS is literally just Android TV with the skin plastered on by Amazon, and a few extra restrictions like not having the ability to use the Google Play Store. But you still have access to the downloader app, so in my books that evens everything out since literally anything you need, any apps that are available on any other Android TV box is still available on the Fire TV OS. What you probably hear about most though is Amazon's inability to let you breathe without attempting to shove some new show up your... Well, you get the point. Yes, there are a good few advertisements on here, but generally, like I said, it's some trendy show on Amazon Prime or maybe, God forbid, even a car. See, in reality, it's not that bad at all. Sure, it does take up a decent chunk of your peripheral vision, but it's not like there's pop-ups appearing on your screen. There's none of that. All the advertising is pretty much strictly on the homepage, and that's not exclusive to Fire TV OS either. Android TV does the exact same thing now, so yeah, it's not so much inconvenient I'd say as it is dystopian to see an advert just about anything on the home screen of your TV. So I understand why people don't like it, but like I said, in my opinion, it's not bad enough to stop you from buying the device. Now, whether you like the way Fire TV OS looks or not, that's purely based on preference. Me personally, I'm kind of indifferent to it, slightly leaning on the side of actually liking it, funny enough. But since, let's be honest, you're probably not staring at the home screen the whole time you're using this thing, it doesn't really matter that much, does it? But if that does actually happen to be the case, go see a doctor. Now, I forgot to actually mention the specs inside this little device. The CPU is a quad-core ARM Cortex A53 CPU clocked at 1.7 GHz. It's got 1.5 gigs of DDR4 RAM and 8 gigs of storage. If you buy the second generation one, the one you find on Amazon, you get Wi-Fi 6, an upgraded A55 CPU with 4 cores, still running at 1.7 GHz, and last but certainly not least, 2 gigs of RAM rather than 1.5. Also, I forgot to mention this thing can be powered by the USB port on the TV, unlike the Chromecast for example. But you should know that when your TV powers off, so do the USB ports, and so every time you turn off the TV, the Firestick also loses power and turns off. So when you turn the TV back on, it takes a bit longer to get going again. So really, I'd recommend you just plug it into an outlet and everything's beautiful from there. Anyway, when it comes to HDR, this thing also has Dolby Vision, HDR10, and HDR10 Plus capabilities, and you also have Dolby Atmos for audio. And when it comes to how this thing actually works in practice, Netflix, YouTube, Amazon Prime Video, all your typical streaming services, smooth as butter. You'll have no trouble in any of those areas, as you'd expect. Now, on the other hand, Streamio, Kodi, all those other interesting alternatives, should I say. Yeah, on my Chromecast, the story wasn't so great. It's pretty common to see some stutter every once in a while, and well, let's just say I'd rather put my head in a blender than watch stuttery 4K video. Keep in mind, I also tested HDR10 Plus files and Dolby Vision files during these tests. And to my surprise, it was all flawless up until about the 65 to 70 gigabyte mark as expected, with the Wi-Fi being the initial bottleneck. Honestly, when buying this device, I was doubtful. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I kind of just wanted a confirmation that nothing works as well as my Shield, and that would make me feel better about my purchase. But damn, this thing, aside from not having a gigabit Ethernet port and just generally being a less powerful device, has delivered as close to an identical experience as you can possibly get to the Shield in my opinion. I still use my Shield daily on the main living room TV, and I also use the Firestick daily in another room. And I have to say, if you're not planning on playing retro games or running those stupid large remux files, which if you're not crazy, you probably can't see much of a difference between that and a regular 5 gigabyte file, then I'd say don't buy any other Android box. Skip everything else and buy the 4K Firestick. I'll have them linked in the description. They're Amazon affiliate links, meaning if you're looking to buy one of these bad boys and you'd like to help your boy out, buy using that link because I get a small commission and it doesn't cost you a cent extra, so everyone's happy. Anyway, like I was saying, I don't think I've ever been able to more confidently make a recommendation. Because like I've mentioned multiple times, if you do happen to have some sort of short-term memory loss, I'll say it again, this was the first gen Firestick 4K. The ones linked down in the description are of course the upgraded second gen models, meaning they'll run at worst the same, but most likely a bit better, with the Wi-Fi 6E being the biggest upgrade, allowing you to watch even larger files over Wi-Fi. So to sum everything up, no, don't buy an Nvidia Shield if you haven't already. Don't buy a Chromecast before you buy this Jigamabob right here. Simple as that, really. It's just an absolute legend for the price you pay. And to be honest, if I had the ability, if I were able to travel back in time, I wouldn't do anything too crazy at all. I'd go back to find me about 1.5 years ago. Back when I was on a quest to find the perfect Android box, I'd give him a hefty slap and say, just buy the Firestick 4K, and I probably would have saved myself from many incidents involving my head and a blender. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, consider liking and subscribing. And on that note, I hope you have a good day, night, whatever it is, wherever you are. And with all that being said, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.